How old are you?
I'm 24.
Do you know somebody named Maxwell Anderson?
I do.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
I do.
Can you describe where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
He is at that left side table to me in a blue button-down.
I'd ask the record to reflect the identification of the defendant.
Any objection?
No.
The record will so reflect.
How do you know the defendant?
We dated previously.
When did you initially meet?
May of 2021.
Is it fair to say that you met through work?
Yes.
How long were you in a relationship with the defendant?
We started dating the end of 2021, so I'd say December, and then ended things, I'd say March of 2023.
Were you familiar with where he lived?
Yes.
Do you know the address?
3161 South 39th Street.
Had you been to that residence
Yes.
frequently?
Yes.
Can you describe some of the things that you and the defendant would do while you were dating, just in general?
We would hang out at his house a lot, and then we'd go to different restaurants or bars.
Was there any particular place that the defendant shared with you that was unique or special?
He wanted to show me this like secret beach that he described it as, just being like a really private area to hang out.
Was that his word, a secret beach?
Yes.
And when did do you remember when he first took you there?
I want to say that first spring that we were dating, so that would have been spring of 2022.
How many times do you think he took you there?
I'd say between 5 and 10 times.
And can you describe, do you know where it was?
I know like how to get there.
Okay. Do you know if it had a name?
I do now of Warnemount Park, but at the time I did not.
Okay, at the time that you were dating him and he would take you to this beach.
Correct.
Why didn't you know the name of it at the time?
He would always just call it like the beach, and he had mentioned he didn't want me to know the name of it in case we broke up. He didn't want me taking other people there.
Did he describe this place to you before he took you there?
Just briefly about it being like really private. Not a lot of people go there. It's just a little like private beach.
I'd like to get into some more details about the beach a little bit later, but just in general, what did you do when you were there with him?
At the beach, we would generally, he'd bring his dogs, and then we would just hang out, build a fire. Sometimes we brought snacks, sometimes I brought a book.
Going to show you Exhibit 295 and ask you if you recognize what I'm showing you.
Yes, this is the beach that we would go to, and then his 2 dogs.
That's a photograph, correct?
Correct.
This is not a photograph that you took.
No.
I'd move in 295 and ask permission to publish.
Any objection?
Yes, she didn't take the photo.
She's identified it. The photo is of what it purports to be. The authentication's in place. I am going to receive it. You may publish.
Are those the defendant's dogs?
Correct.
And that looks like where he took you.
Yes.
At some point, you contacted the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department, correct?
Correct.
Do you remember when?
I want to say it was April of 2024.
Okay, after you were aware of Sade Robinson's disappearance?
Correct.
And was this after the disappearance?
Yes.
And why did you contact the Sheriff's Department?
Well, I contacted them after the disappearance and after the news was released that he was in custody under suspicion of this. And I contacted them just because I knew he was a pretty secretive person with like his house. So he would buy like shelves with false backs or have these like hidden compartments. Like there was one in the bathroom, like under the sink, that he would place a piece of marble in and it would blend so you couldn't really tell that there was a compartment under there.
So that was something that you're describing in his bathroom at 3161 South 39th Street?
Yes.
Is that something that you saw?
Yes.
Where was it?
In the bathroom underneath the sink.
Okay, underneath the sink, did the sink have like a vanity?
Correct. So the vanity was this marble color, and then there was the sink with the cabinets, and then there was like a spot underneath the cabinets, probably 3 or 4 inches tall, and he would just stick a piece of marble that matched the vanity there so that it looked like it was one piece.
Going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 496.
Thank you.
Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, that is his bathroom.
It's a photograph, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you, I'd ask that 496 be received.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Can you draw on there where the secret compartment is?
Is it showing up or do you need a Sharpie?
It's okay.
Okay.
Just that.
Thank you. Permission to publish?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the vanity, correct?
Correct.
And what you drew in this kind of blue rectangle in pen is what?
It is the piece of marble that he would be able to slide in and out of underneath the vanity. So it does match like the top of it, so it would look as one piece.
And that's something he showed you?
Yes.
Was there anything else similar to this inside that residence that you were aware of?
He did have a closet in the living room area that he would cover with an entertainment center, so you weren't aware that there was a closet behind there.
And you felt that at least some of this information was important to tell law enforcement, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were searching the house. I just have no idea how extensive these searches are, so.
Did you also share with law enforcement the information about the secret beach?
Yes.
Did there come a time a few months later where law enforcement was back in contact with you about that location?
Yes.
And what happened when they were back in contact with you?
Well, the first time I had mentioned it, I had just said that we had been to a beach, looked very similar. I wasn't sure of if it was the same one, and then they had reached out again several months later, and they were like, do you know if this is...
Objection hearsay.
It does call for hearsay. I'll sustain that.
Did you ultimately meet with law enforcement?
I did.
And did the particular detective or officer that was with you actually go with you to the location?
Yes, I directed them.
Okay. Do you remember where you started out?
Yes, I remember that we would take Layton pretty much all the way down. So I had them get me to Layton, and then I was able to direct.
And when you say we would take Layton, who are you referring to?
Maxwell and I.
Would you say that you have a good knowledge of the city of Milwaukee in terms of directions and different roads?
No.
Was there a particular landmark that you identified that you were able to direct law enforcement to get you to this location?
Yes, so I know we would take Layton all the way down, and then on the way there, there was a Mexican restaurant, El Beso, on Layton. So that was on the right-hand side. We would stop there sometimes before going to the beach. And then I knew that the airport was, you'd have to pass the airport, so I could tell that I was going in the right direction through those landmarks.
And you did this same route with the sheriff's department?
Correct.
Going to show you exhibits 265 through 277, and just to yourself, look through those and let me know if you recognize what they are.
Individually or just?
Individually, yes.
Okay. Yes, this first one I do recognize. It looks like where we would park to walk to get there.
But do you recognize, sorry
Oh,
if I was confusing.
no, that's okay.
Do you recognize all of those
Correct.
exhibits? That
This is
okay.
the beach that we would go to.
Okay. I'd ask for exhibits 265 through 277 to be received and published.
Any objection?
No.
They're received. You may publish.
Showing you exhibit 265. What is this?
That is where we would park our car, and then that fence there is where we would enter to get to the beach.
Okay, so would you park your car down here or in this,
In that dead end spot.
down where the car is?
Correct.
Exhibit 266, do you recognize this?
That is the fence that would need to be gone through to get to the beach. However, it looks like that was a replacement. That doesn't look like the fence that we would go through.
Okay, so that looks like a different fence versus when you were there with the defendant.
Correct.
Showing you exhibit 267, what is that?
That is the fence that we would go through. There was that gap in between the two connecting fences, and we would squeeze through there to get to the beach.
What is 268?
After we went through the fence, there was like a really long paved hill that we would have to go down. So that looks like that.
Once you went down the hill, which direction did you go?
Left.
And what was down at the bottom of the hill?
Down at the bottom to your right is this building. I'm not sure what the building is. And then to the left, it was pretty rocky. And then once you got past the rocks, you would get to sandy area, which was where we would hang out.
Did you ever go to the right with him?
No.
Showing you exhibit 269, what is that?
Just an extension of the hill. It was pretty long, so then if you just continued down to the left, there would be the beach.
Is this the building that you talked about?
Correct.
And you would go this way?
Yes.
Exhibit 270, what is that?
Same thing, that's just a different angle of the building.
Describe, when you go to the left, how you get to the beach.
So we would either go, it was pretty rocky, so we would either climb kind of through the rocks, or there was, if you, like a little bit longer of a way, there was like a back trail that you kind of had to go up and around, and it would get you past the rocks.
Which did you prefer to navigate?
Usually the trail, because I would be wearing sandals, so didn't want to cut my feet on the rocks.
What about the defendant?
He'd usually take the rocks, depending if we had the dogs or whatnot.
Exhibit 271, what is that?
Those are the rocks that would need to be climbed over.
272, what is that?
Just another angle of the rocks. Further past those trees would be kind of where that trail that I would take. is.
What about 273?
So there's a better view of the trail.
Can you stand up and point to where the trail is?
If you're going to talk, there's a microphone right next to you that you can turn on if you need to talk.
Okay, so the pavement kind of goes down this way. You would enter through, it had all these fallen down trees, so either route was dangerous, I suppose, but the trail kind of curves through this way.
Once you got down to the beach, how far down would you walk?
From when you get there and you can visually see, because it kind of goes around a bend, so from what you can visually see, we would go about halfway down. There would be a fallen down tree over there, so there was like lots of bark and stuff, so we'd usually park our blanket by the fallen down tree, because then we would use that fallen bark to build our fires.
Showing you Exhibit 275, what is that?
That is just an extension of the beach. I believe that we would usually put our blanket right about here.
Exhibit 276, what is that?
So when we were at the beach, behind us, this is what it would look like. It wasn't just like a big open plain. It was just that little strip of beach and then this wall behind us.
And Exhibit 277, what's that?
Just a view from the beach from the opposite angle. So going towards the pavement.
When you met with the Sheriff's Department, did you provide them any photographs that you had of either you and the defendant or photos of this secret beach?
I did.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 278 and 279 and ask you if you know what they are, and I can take this from you.
This is a photo that I took when we were at the beach.
Okay, and you're referring to 278.
Yes, and then 279, since it was taken on Snapchat, I had to press and hold it to where it would show you the location and the date and time.
So those are screenshots from your phone?
Correct.
And 279 is kind of an extension of 278?
Correct.
Okay, I'll take those. I would ask for 278 and 279 to be received and permission to publish.
Any objection?
No.
Received, and go ahead.
Okay, we're looking at 278. What is that?
So you can see my beach blanket. I'd keep that in my car for when we would go. And then that was just a fire that we had built.
And does 279 tell you what date that photograph was taken on, or what date you posted that on Snapchat?
It does. That is the day it was taken, May 12th, 2022, 6:10 p.m.
Does it give a location stamp too?
Yes, Cudahy, Wisconsin.
I don't have anything further.
Cross?
Good morning.
Morning.
So as I understand it, you and Max dated for about 2021 to 2023, give or take about 2 years, you'd say?
Correct.
Not through work, obviously, right?
Correct.
And you would hang out at his house. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
So you knew where, you even knew his address, obviously, you just said it, right?
Yes.
And that was a place where he would take you and you would watch TV or spend time together there, right?
Correct.
And you've talked a little bit about this hidden compartment was it in the bathroom area?
Yes.
And actually the reason why that's important is because when after you heard, I mean, obviously you heard the news about Max being arrested and suspected and all this, right?
Yes,
That's sort of what prompted you reaching out to law enforcement.
correct.
So it wasn't until you had seen things in the news that you actually initiated contact with the police, right?
Correct.
And the first thing about that secret spot in the bathroom, you wanted to make them aware of that because you knew law enforcement was going to go search the house, obviously.
I didn't know if it had been done or not at that point, but I just wanted to make them aware.
You suspected maybe they would search a house in a situation like this, right?
I suppose.
Right, you wanted to make them aware of, hey, there's this secret spot here. If you do search the house, this is where it is, right?
Yes,
And that secret spot was something he had shown to you, right?
correct.
Because you guys trusted each other, or at least he trusted you.
Correct.
And that secret spot was for purpose of hiding basically money or weed, right?
Yes,
Okay. And this beach, you guys have gone there a handful of times together, right?
yes,
Do you have any idea, so you didn't know the name Warnemont Park back in 2021, 22, or 23, right?
that's correct.
You know it now because you've heard the articles, right?
Yes,
Have you've read a little bit about the situation or the case?
yes,
I mean, it's of particular interest to you, obviously, because this is an ex-boyfriend of yours, right?
correct.
And you broke up before he was ever charged in this case. You broke up in March of 2023.
That's correct.
So a year before anything had allegedly happened, you guys were already broken up, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend.
Yes,
Not one of these situations where people are still sort of keeping in touch with each other and maybe dating other people, broken up, right?
correct.
And you hadn't even seen Max for over a year since you broke up, right?
That's correct.
In fact, you never saw him from the breakup until he was arrested. Right?
I believe I had ran into him at a concert that summer, but we didn't hang out at the concert or anything. It was more like a, hey, how are you? Move on.
The dates that you went on, I don't need to go into all the details, obviously, but things like going out to dinner or going to the movies or going to a beach, is it things like that?
Correct?
And he was never physically abusive, was he?
No.
And you were aware that at his house, he even had someone living below at his house, right?
Correct.
You were familiar with the layout of the house. He even told you about the spot in the living room where the desk was there and there was the closet, right?
Correct.
And just going back to this beach, obviously you didn't know the name back then, you said. Didn't know that it was called Warnemont Park, right?
Correct.
So in terms of hanging out there, did you ever hang out there with other people, or just that's the spot you and Max had gone?
It was just Max and I.
So in terms of the number of, and how many times did you estimate you went there with him?
I said between 5 and 10.
So just a range, right?
Correct.
And the pictures you've shown are the only ones that you had taken there, the picture of the fire and the dogs on?
Yes.
The ones of the dogs on the beach, you didn't take that, right?
No, I did not.
You recognize those dogs as being Max's dogs, right?
Yes.
So when you would go there, you would take, you said, Layton Avenue past the airport, right?
Correct.
Right into the beach.
Yes.
And not College, right?
No.
And there's a Mexican restaurant, El Beso. The two of you would stop there periodically as well, right?
Yes.
And what you would do at the beach is just hang out there and spend time together like any other couple might do, right?
Yes.
He never told you, don't tell anybody about the beach. He just didn't tell you the name.
Correct.
And to get down there, there's a path around the side of the fence. So I think you said the route that you would go would be to walk around the fence and then walk down, right?
Yes.
Never drove a car down in that area, right?
No.
And the beach is, the path down to the beach, there's sort of a walking trail that you would take sometimes, right? Is that what I heard you say before?
Yes.
What is the terrain of the walking trail? Is it paved, or is it just would it be described as a muddy trail that goes down?
It's muddy. It's pretty worn out too, so it's not really like actually muddy, but it is dirt.
It's dirt, right?
Yes.
Had you ever gone there with Max when it was raining and muddy?
There were times where we had been there and it had started to rain and we would just leave right away.
Not any time where it had been pouring and pouring like that, right?
No.
So in terms of the dirt path, and the dirt path is the one you would take. There's also some other ways through the woods you can walk down there? Or no?
I'm not aware of any other way through the woods.
Just the dirt path.
Correct.
And then there's sandy beach, right? You said there's a rocky part of the beach and a sandy part of the beach?
Yes.
Max never told you get rid of any photos or anything like that, right?
No.
And in fact, after Max had been, in early April, let's say, April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, did Max ever reach out to you?
Not in April.
Okay. In April, he never contacted you and said, get rid of some photos of the beach or anything like that, did he?
He did not.
Or tell you to, or even try to make contact with you at all, right?
Not in April.
Right. That's all. Thank you.